Okay, we're doing part 13 of Best of the West in Art, Music, Movie, and Books by me, Pete Rogers. We're on page 101. We sort of just finished up briefly talking about King Arthur's Round Table, this painting by Edvard de Espinques at 1475. And basically, you want to talk about noble masculinity. There it is, King Arthur with the Round Table. You want to talk about respect and freedom and equality. There it is, all the knights sitting together at a round table, not just King Arthur at the end of the table. Okay, and then next painting here is Knight of the Holy Grail, which was Sir Galahad. Sir Galahad had made himself worthy to be the one who would find the Holy Grail. You know, like I said, Lancelot was the best fighter, but he had, gotten into mischief bunking Guinevere, which he shouldn't have been doing. So anyways, that's part of it. And I also say for getting healthy, you have to make yourself worthy. Do all the things you're supposed to do, and then you get healthy. But lots of beautiful paintings came out of King Arthur and the Holy Grail. All of the Edmund Leighton paintings, for example. Okay, what's the second best? Because remember, this is chapter 2. We're doing the second best of everything in Western culture. So the second best holiday, the best holiday, of course, is Christmas. And like I said, don't let anybody say winter break. Maybe you have to in some settings, but winter break's BS. It's an insult. It's a national holiday, Christmas, and that's what it should be. I don't even like happy holidays. It's Merry Christmas, okay? You think it's no big deal, but all these degradations, they go towards bringing back slavery. And if you don't understand that, look, I can't help you if you're stupid. But I'm telling you, this is all the path to destruction of the culture. So this is a nice painting of the Last Supper by Philippe de Champagne. So, nice painting of the Last Supper. Okay, what is the second best movie for inspiring achievement? The best one was Amadeus, but this one's also magnificent. The Agony and the Ecstasy. This is all about Michelangelo, which was Charlton Heston with Rex Harrison. And this is during the time when he's painting the Sistine Chapel. So Rex Harrison was Pope Julius, the best pope ever. He was the pope that was defending Rome, okay, from invaders. He was, commissioned Raphael and Michelangelo to make the greatest paintings of all time. It's a masterpiece, and the movie's very inspiring. All right. Kids should be learning all about their great ancestors. It motivates them to achieve, to want to achieve. Okay, here is Pope Julius talking with Michelangelo, with Raphael, and with other circles, with the architect Bramante, on how to redesign St. Peter's Basilica. Okay, and Michelangelo actually ended up playing a pretty big role in that as well. Painting by Horace Vernet. Okay, the next book right here is second best Christian book ever about like Christian history and whatnot would be this one, Victory or Reason by Rodney Stark. Rodney Stark wrote a lot of good books about Christianity. Actually, I'm just finishing up another one called Bearing False Witness. The Catholic Church has gotten so bad-mouthed out of people that are jealous or don't like it. A lot of communists and atheists have written books trying to criticize the Catholic Church that are not true. Like they'll try to badmouth the Spanish Inquisition, and they're totally lying about it. Okay, don't get me wrong, the Spanish Inquisition was usually a tool of the ruler, and it did do some bad things. But it was small potatoes, okay, compared to anything else. Stalin killed 65 million people, okay? That's a lot of people. The Inquisition killed a couple thousand in about 400 years, okay? It's next to very few in comparison, okay? And it mostly protected people. If you start reading the history about it, you'd be surprised. And you have to remember, all throughout Europe, there were religious persecutions everywhere. From Calvin, from Luther, all kinds of crazy stuff going on in France. What do you think the French Rev was, okay? 50,000 heads. So what I'm trying to say is, Spanish Inquisition is totally exaggerated in what you hear in the books and the movies by people who hate Christianity and Catholicism in particular. Okay, and also the story of the Crusades, it's much different than people think. I've read and studied all that stuff. So you read the history. Once you get done reading the history of it, you will come to the conclusion, if you've kept an open mind and you want to learn the truth, the greatest institution ever in the history of mankind is the Catholic Church. And don't get me wrong, I realize now the current Pope is an Antichrist, destroying everything, but where did science come from? The charities, the universities, all that stuff came from the Catholic Church. And there's a reason why the Renaissance only happened in Europe, because of the Catholic Church was in Italy, and that's where it was, okay? So you'd be amazed, because I wanted to know why did I hear so many bad things about Christianity and the Catholic Church? Then I went and read about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, all these people are jealous of them and trying to destroy them because they want to bring back slavery. And you look at like Voltaire was an asshole. Voltaire basically, him along with his crew like Gibbons and Diderot, etc., trying to claim they are the Enlightenment. Yeah, right. The great scientists were all devout Christians, okay? Not these atheist scumbags who destroy everything and lead to the French Rev. French Rev was a disaster. It was like the Soviet Bolshevik of the 1917. Okay, what's the best book? Second best book ever written on evolution. I like Kingdom of Speech by Tom Wolfe. And he makes the big point that the big thing that divides humans from the other primates by, orders and orders of magnitude is speech. Chimps can't talk, they can't do math, they can't do hardly anything compared to humans. They have about 1/3 the brain size. Second best nonfiction book by a female author, Adios America by Ann Coulter. She's a great writer. She's very funny and clever and sarcastic. Second best female writer would be Ayn Rand, author of Atlas Shrugged. Here's a couple quotes of Ayn Rand. She's an absolutely brilliant thinker. She said, "The basic need of the creator is independence. It demands total independence in function and motive. To improve anything, one must first know what constitutes an improvement. And to know that, one must know what is good and how to achieve it. And to know that, one must have a whole system of value judgments, a system of ethics." Notice she says, you have to judge. You have to discriminate. You have to be intolerant of BS if you want to do anything good. Okay, all this, be tolerant, don't discriminate, that's all just modern nonsense to make kids stupid in public schools. You must discriminate. This is a good book, this is a bad book. Okay, this is a good painting, this is a bad painting. All day long in life, you have to discriminate and judge everything all day long. That's normal. Okay, in order to live, a man must act. In order to act, he must make choices. In order to make choices, he must define a code of values. This is all Ayn Rand. In order to define a code of values, he must know what he is and where he is. He must know his own nature and the nature of the universe. He needs philosophy. He cannot escape this need. His only alternative is whether the philosophy guiding him is to be chosen by his mind or by chance. If you think there is a contradiction, then recheck your premises. There is no contradiction. Contradictions do not exist. Whenever you think you are facing a contradiction, check your premises. Yeah, I had that problem, and once I started to see how she phrased it, then I was able to solve some complex dilemmas in my life. Okay, you will find that one of those assumptions is wrong. One of those premises is wrong. The hardest thing to see, the hardest thing to explain is the glaringly obvious, which everyone has decided not to see. Your purpose determines your style of writing. So get your purpose right, and then your style will be right. Men cannot write well without good philosophy. Aristotle said, this is all Ayn Rand, Aristotle said that fiction is of greater philosophical importance than history because history only shows us what was, but fiction shows us what could be. My goal of writing is the projection of an ideal man. I am a romantic in the sense that I present men as they ought to be. I am a realist in the sense that I place them here and now on this earth. That was Ayn Rand's literary style. It was called romantic realism. And she's absolutely right about that. Her book, Romantic Manifesto, that and Arthur Schopenhauer's The Art of Literature are the two greatest books ever written on how to understand good literature and how to become a good writer yourself. Okay. She says, romantic literary style depends on a certain kind of philosophy. A philosophy of integration. Art is a concretization of metaphysics. Now that's a magnificent quote. What she's saying is what you put into your painting is a manifestation of what you think. The peak, the pinnacle, the zenith of what you think that you want to show other people. So, okay, Socrates was a concretization of Plato's philosophy. Jesus and the saints are a concretization of Christianity. The three best artistic times in history were the ancient Greeks, the Italian Renaissance, and the 1800s in Europe. She's absolutely right about that. If you want to be a scholar of beautiful art, literature, you need to know that. The ancient Greeks, the Italian Renaissance, and the 1800s in Europe, called the Belle Epoque. That's when the most highest peaks of aesthetic creativity ever were demonstrated by mankind. Okay, they're magnificent. When you look at that and you see how magnificent it was, and I've given a whole series of paintings on the Belle Epoque, and I got a whole bunch coming up in this book. It's like up here compared to anything in our modern world. It's magnificent. It's spectacular. Okay, World War I marked the fading of individualism. Philosophy and modern art have been degraded into an abysmal triviality. Modern art is the emperor's new clothes. If a man's views of the world are wrong, it leads him to act as his own destroyer. Yep, I've seen that a lot. People get mixed up and they try to find happiness and success in a bottle of alcohol or some other stupidity. Collectivism is a stampede of losers led by crooks over the intelligent, hard-working, good men of society. Yeah, we got that going on nowadays. We are fast approaching the stage of ultimate inversion, the stage where the you-know-what is free to do anything it pleases while the citizens may only act by permission, which is the stage of the darkest periods in human history, the stage of rule by brute force. The difference between socialism and the cow, the moon, and the East is the difference between suicide and murder. The cow, the moon, and the East enslaves men by murder, the socialism by manipulation of the vote. The truth is only for those who seek it. Yeah, that she actually was right on, and people don't know that, and that's why Europe fell into that trap thinking socialism was going to work. No, you can't make things work without Christian ethics. It's obvious, because once you deny God in the creation of man, what you're basically saying, man's just an animal, a talking monkey, and therefore he has no rights, he doesn't deserve anything. And you give that carte blanche to the ruler to bring back slavery. They're going to do it. They're always going to do it. It's obvious. That's why you have to study the ancient Romans. All this stuff becomes obvious if you studied ancient Rome. The smallest minority on earth is the individual. Those who deny individual rights cannot claim to be defenders of minority. Yeah, all this pop culture stuff about minorities, it is not true. They do not care about minorities. They simply want minorities to help them to destroy the white Christian man, because once he's out of the way, they're going to get rid of all the minorities. They just need them in the short run, okay? Coalition of the fringes, but long term, they have no interest in them, none, okay? The uncontested absurdities of today are the accepted slogans of tomorrow. Until one day they are the country's official ideology. Every movement that seeks to enslave a country needs a scapegoat onto which to blame its troubles and justify its demands for dictator power. In the USA, it is the businessman. Yep, that's how it was in her day. And she really did a lot to try to help freedom. Okay, she said, tyrannical places, they destroy the best people. Yep, that's true too, because it's the best ones that tell the truth. Okay, she continues. True scientists are essentially loners. They pursue knowledge for the sake of knowledge. A scientist who discovers knowledge and shares it to the benefit of others is the greatest benefactor of mankind. Such men should be considered heroes, but such men are not regarded as heroes. They are the most hated, blamed, and denounced men in so-called humanitarian societies. Yeah, when the great scientists discover something, it's a new discovery. That's why it's called a unique discovery. And it contradicts the party line coming from the corporations. So what do the corporations do? They spend tons of money to destroy them. And what do the universities do? They take the money from the corporations and they screw over the creator. That's what happens 9 times out of 10. It's dangerous and scary to be a creator in the modern world. Okay, so we're going to leave it at there for now. I hope you found that helpful.